Know the notary laws and safeguard your notary business. Introducing the book, Notary Law and Liability, Understanding State Regulations, Insurance, and Avoiding UPL by Derrick Spruill. What you don't know can destroy the notary business you've been building. Get your copy of Notary Law and Liability by Derrick Spruill from Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Books of Million, Bookshop.org, Mobile Notary by DerrickSpruill.com, or download from Kindle today.
Imagine you're a bouncer at a really busy nightclub.
Okay, I can picture that.
Right. And your singular, highly important job is to stand at the door, check the IDs of the people walking in, and, make sure they are exactly who they claim to be.
And that they're walking in willingly, right?
Exactly. But now imagine if you suddenly just abandoned your post at the door, marched all the way back into the kitchen, and started inspecting the chicken to see if it was, cooked to health code standards.
That would be a massive disaster.
Right. You wouldn't just be wildly out of your lane, you'd be creating chaos. And today, we are exploring why stepping out of your lane as a public servant won't just get you fired, but it could literally land you in jail.
It is a huge deal.
It really is. Welcome to Notary Knowledge. I'm Marylyn Trotter, here with Montes Travis.
We are so incredibly thrilled to have you joining us for this exploration of the sources today.
We really are. But before we get into the core of today's show, we want to make sure you're fully plugged into our entire educational network.
Yes, absolutely.
So be sure to check out our video podcast, No Notary, with Montes Travis, as well as Marylyn's 90 Seconds of Notary for those quick, bite-sized tips you can use when you're out in the field.
Exactly. And, if you are genuinely serious about building a successful, rock-solid practice, you absolutely need to buy the Notary Knowledge books by Derrick Spruill.
Oh, they are must-haves.
They really are. They're the essential, comprehensive guides for navigating this profession safely and successfully. You can find those books and, a wealth of other resources by visiting the Notary Knowledge website.
And while you're at it, please take a quick moment to rate the show, subscribe, and share the podcast with others.
It really helps us get this vital information out to the people who need it most.
It really does make a huge difference. Now, if you're new here or you're just starting out in your career or maybe feeling a little overwhelmed, take a deep breath.
Yeah, you are in the exact right place.
You are. We keep things highly conversational and relaxed around here. You do not need a law degree to follow along with us.
Thank goodness for that.
Right. In fact, today is Foundational Fridays, so it's designed specifically for the entry-level professional.
We are stripping away the complicated jargon and just focusing on the absolute bedrock principles of the job.
Exactly. Now, in prior sessions, we spent a lot of time talking about what you must do, right?
Right. Specifically, the rigorous ins and outs of identity verification.
Which is obviously the undeniable core of the job. But today, we are flipping the script entirely. Today's focus is on prohibited acts.
So basically what you absolutely cannot do.
Yes, and this is where so many incredibly well-meaning people get tripped up.
They really do.
Because there's this massive society-wide myth about what our official stamp actually means.
Oh, the misconceptions are everywhere.
Right. People think that when a notary stamps a document, it means the content of that document is, true or fair or legally bulletproof.
It's a remarkably common misconception. People assume the official seal is a stamp of approval on the fairness of the deal itself. They literally think you are endorsing the contract.
Right. But let's go back to that bouncer analogy from the very beginning.
The nightclub.
Yeah. We are just verifying that the person standing in front of us is who their ID says they are, and that no one is, holding a proverbial gun to their head to sign.
We are definitely not the health inspector checking the kitchen.
Exactly. We don't verify if the recipe of the business contract is fair or if the terms of the mortgage loan are a good deal for the buyer. We just check the ID at the door.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it, honestly. And, if we connect this to the broader global picture, we can understand exactly why the public is so confused.
Where does it all come from?
Well, a lot of this confusion comes from a profound misunderstanding of the office internationally.
Oh, like in other countries?
Yeah. A United States common law notary is radically fundamentally different from a civil law notary, which you'd find in Latin America or most of Europe.
Right. The system is totally different over there.
Exactly. In those countries, a notario publico is actually a highly trained, elite lawyer.
Wait, like an actual lawyer?
Yes. They literally draft their legal instruments, they dispense legal advice, and their authorized documents essentially carry the weight of a court order.
Wow. Which is a completely different universe from what we do here in the States.
Completely different. In the U.S., our core function is strictly, purposefully limited. We are impartial witnesses.
Just witnesses.
Right. Our job is to verify identity, ensure the signer's willingness to sign, and check for basic mental competence.
So our whole purpose is basically just to deter and prevent fraud.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not to dispense legal counsel or shape the transaction. Which actually brings us directly to the first of our 3 bright lines for Foundational Fridays, the unauthorized practice of law, or UPL.
Ah, yes, the UPL boundary. Because we aren't lawyers, we cannot act like them.
Exactly.
It sounds so simple in theory, but signers will constantly, and I mean constantly, ask things like, is this the right form for me? Or what exactly happens to my house if I sign this deed?
All the time.
And answering those questions, like even just trying to be a helpful human being, is strictly prohibited.
Precisely. Let's look at the mechanics of this for a second.
Okay.
If a document doesn't have a pre-printed notarial certificate attached to it, you cannot tell the signer which one to choose.
Wow, really?
Yeah, you cannot recommend a jurat over an acknowledgement. That recommendation is a formal legal determination.
Okay, let's actually pause and break those 2 terms down for our newer listeners, because that can sound like intense legal jargon if you are just starting out.
That's a great idea.
What is the practical, on-the-ground difference between a jurat and an acknowledgement?
That is a great clarifying question. So an acknowledgement is simply a declaration.
Okay.
The signer is acknowledging to you that they signed the document willingly and that they understand what they are signing.
Got it. And a jurat?
A jurat, on the other hand, is much heavier. It requires you to administer an oath or affirmation.
So they're swearing to something?
Yes. The signer is actively swearing under penalty of perjury that the contents of the document are entirely factual and true.
Okay, so one is basically saying, I signed this of my own free will, and the other is saying, I swear to God, everything written on this paper is a fact.
Exactly.
And choosing between those 2 carries vastly different legal weight in a court of law.
Right, which is exactly why making that choice for the client crosses the bright line into practicing law.
So what can you do if they ask?
You can read the definitions of those acts from your state handbook, but the signer has to make the ultimate choice.
Wow. Okay, let's move to the second bright line, which is temporal falsification. Or, in plain English, messing with the dates.
This is a big one.
Now, I have to admit, when I first started looking into this, my brain completely tripped over it.
How so?
Well, I really wanted symmetry. Like, if a massive lease agreement says January 1st at the top, but the parties are standing in front of me signing it on January 5th, my instinct is to just make everything match.
Right, to tidy it up.
Yeah. It feels incredibly messy to have 2 different dates on the same paperwork. Why is the law so incredibly strict about this?
Because the legal ice here is incredibly thin, and you have to separate the concept of the document date from the notary date.
Okay, break that down for me.
The document date is when the contract actually takes effect.
Yeah.
That timeline is decided entirely by the parties involved, and it can legally be in the past or the future.
Okay, that makes sense.
But the notary date, the date written on your official notarial certificate, must always reflect the exact factual calendar day the signer physically appeared before you.
No exceptions at all. Like, even if both parties beg you to match it.
0 exceptions. Predating, which is backdating and postdating, are explicitly illegal in all 50 states.
Wow.
It is quite literally falsifying a government record.
That sounds terrifying when you put it like that.
Think about the mechanism of what you are doing. You are making a sworn statement under oath that a specific human being stood physically before you on a very specific day.
Right.
Falsifying that timeline destroys the chain of evidence and can lead to severe civil liability and even criminal charges.
Wow. We're going to see exactly how dangerous that gets in our scenarios later.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, the third bright line is self-notarization.
Right. Impartiality is the absolute, non-negotiable bedrock of the office.
Which means?
You are commissioned by your state as a disinterested public servant. Therefore, you cannot notarize your own signature.
Makes sense.
You also cannot notarize any document where you have a direct financial or beneficial interest.
Because you just can't be a neutral, objective witness to your own life events, right? It fundamentally breaks the entire system of trust.
Exactly. You are the third-party verifier. You cannot be the first party and the third party simultaneously.
Okay, we've covered some genuinely heavy foundational rules here.
We really have.
The boundaries of UPL, the strict reality of temporal falsification, and the absolute requirement against self-notarization.
A lot to take in.
It is. Let's just take a breath right here. Let those concepts really sink in for a moment.
Good idea.
Just relax and absorb those bright lines, because next we are going to see how they actually play out when you are face-to-face with a client.
Theory is one thing, but practice is where the real test begins.
Exactly. So let's dive into a fan favorite segment of the show. Good question. What would you do?
I love this segment.
Me too. This is where we tackle real-world, high-stakes scenarios submitted by entry-level professionals from all across the country.
These are the tricky on-the-ground situations where those bright lines we just established get seriously tested.
Exactly. What's our first one?
Our first scenario comes from Whitney in Wisconsin.
Okay, hey, Whitney.
Here is the situation she faced.
Uh-huh.
Whitney's client brings in a property deed that needs to be notarized. But the deed is incomplete.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there is a glaring blank space right where the property address is supposed to go.
Oh, boy.
The client looks at Whitney, hands her a pen, and asks her to just, quote, fill in the missing property address real quick before she applies her stamp.
Just to save them a step.
Exactly, just to be helpful.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because this is exactly how we get trapped.
Let's hear it.
Come on, it's just a property address. The client clearly knows what house they're talking about.
Sure.
Doesn't good, proactive customer service mean helping the client out with a minor clerical detail?
That right there is the ultimate helpfulness trap.
Is it?
Oh, absolutely. And what's truly fascinating here is how quickly good intentions turn into a severe violation of the law.
Wait, it's a law violation?
Yes. Completing blank spaces in the body of a legal document is the unauthorized practice of law.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Just filling in an address?
Yes. A notary's completion authority is strictly, legally confined to the blank fields of the notarial certificate itself.
Like what?
Things like the venue, the date, your signature, and your seal. You cannot touch the text of the document.
So she can't even write in an address or a zip code or a middle initial?
She absolutely cannot. If a document has blank spaces in its core text, the notary must actively refuse to proceed until the signer or the document's legal originator fills them in.
Wow. Why is it so strict?
Because a blank space is essentially a weapon waiting to be used. Blanks can be altered later to commit massive fraud.
Oh, I see.
Exactly. Let's look at how that actually plays out.
Okay.
Imagine Whitney signs off on that deed with a blank property line. The fraudster then takes that notarized deed, and instead of writing in the address for a tiny vacant dirt lot, they write in the address of a 500-acre family farm owned by an elderly relative.
Oh my gosh.
Right. By applying her seal to a document with a blank space, Whitney's seal just became the engine that facilitated the theft of a farm.
Wow, she has to say no.
She has to.
That is terrifying. Do not touch the document text. The liability is massive.
A huge liability.
All right, scenario 2. This comes to us from Connie in Connecticut.
Okay, Connie.
So Connie needs a certified copy of her own college diploma for a highly competitive job application.
Okay, fairly common request.
Now, she is a commissioned professional herself, so she wants to know if she can just notarize the copy of her diploma herself to save time, money, and, a trip across town.
Honestly, to me, that sounds a whole lot like grading your own driving test.
That is the perfect analogy. It is exactly like grading your own test.
Right.
Self-notarization is a physical and legal impossibility. Think about the underlying mechanism we discussed earlier.
The impartiality thing.
Exactly. The core job is to objectively verify identity and serve as a thoroughly disinterested witness.
And you can't do that for yourself.
Right. You cannot objectively verify your own identity, and you certainly cannot be a disinterested witness to your own life achievements.
Because obviously, Connie has a massive vested interest in her own diploma-looking official for that job application.
Precisely. If she were to stamp it, doing so voids the notarization entirely.
It totally ruins it.
It completely strips the document of all its legal credibility, and it might even cost her the job she's applying for.
Wow. So what does she do?
Connie must seek out an independent, completely disinterested third party to certify that copy for her.
No shortcuts, even for yourself.
No. The system only works if the witness is truly neutral. Okay, let's move to scenario 3, which deals with our old friend, time.
Oh, temporal falsification.
Yep. This is Tyler from Tennessee. Tyler is doing a complex mortgage loan signing, and he's physically meeting with the borrower on a Thursday evening.
Okay, Thursday.
But the loan signing agency reaches out and explicitly asks him to date his notary certificate for Friday so that the paperwork perfectly aligns with the bank's official closing date.
Oof. This raises that critically important question about temporal integrity that we unpacked in the first segment.
The notary date versus the document date.
Exactly. If Tyler agrees to date that certificate for Friday, he is actively falsifying a government record.
But wait, what if the agency is the one paying his invoice? What if the client literally demands it?
It does not matter if the agency demands it, threatens him, or bugs him. No agency instruction and no client demand overrides state law.
Wow.
Remember the mechanics. The certificate is a sworn statement under oath. Let's play out the worst-case scenario here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Imagine Tyler bends to the pressure and dates the certificate for Friday. But late Thursday night, after the signing, the borrower tragically gets into a severe car accident and falls into a coma.
Oh, wow. That changes everything.
Suddenly, Tyler's official, sworn certificate claims that he physically verified the identity, checked the mental awareness, and witnessed the signature of an incapacitated person on Friday afternoon.
That is just outright perjury.
That is outright undeniable perjury. Tyler must absolutely date the certificate for Thursday, the factual day the signer physically appeared before him.
But what about the bank's Friday deadline?
If the agency or the bank needs the loan to legally take effect on Friday, the lawyers can legally establish a Friday effective date in the text of the contract itself. But the notary date must remain Thursday.
That really puts the liability into crystal clear perspective. It's not just a minor clerical error. It's a false statement under oath with potentially devastating chain reactions.
It really is.
Let's take another conversational breath right here.
Yeah, that's heavy.
I really want the gravity of those legal liabilities to truly settle in for our listeners before we hit our last two scenarios.
It is a lot of responsibility, but understanding the boundaries actually makes the job much safer and easier.
Very true. Okay, we are back into it. Scenario 4 comes to us from Mary in Maryland.
Okay, let's hear about Mary.
Mary is presented with a very dense, highly complex power of attorney document. The signer is sitting across the table, looking it over, clearly stressed.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. They point to a dense, legalistic paragraph, look up at Mary, and ask, what does this section about my estate actually mean?
Oh, man. This is perhaps the single most common UPL trap people fall into.
Because you just want to help.
Right. Mary wants to be a compassionate, helpful professional, and she might actually know exactly what the paragraph means from her own past experience.
But she can't say it.
But explaining the terms or the legal effects of a document is definitively providing legal advice.
So what does she do? She just stares at them.
Mary needs an exact, memorized script to safely navigate this without alienating her client.
Oh, a script. So what should her go-to response be?
She should look the client in the eye and say exactly this. I am a notary, not an attorney. I cannot provide legal advice or explain the effects of this document.
That is solid. Let me actually repeat that so everyone driving right now or taking notes can hear it again and burn it into their memory.
Good idea.
I am a notary, not an attorney. I cannot provide legal advice or explain the effects of this document.
Exactly. It is polite, it is profoundly firm, and it draws the bright legal line so clearly that no one can cross it.
Right.
You must never choose the certificate for the signer, and you must never explain the document's provisions. And, there's a deeper mechanical reason for this.
What's that?
Think about the core duties. You have to verify willingness.
Okay.
If the signer doesn't understand the document and is asking what it does, Mary must halt the transaction.
Oh, because they don't know what they're signing?
Exactly. She cannot truthfully verify that the signer is signing with full, uncoerced understanding if they don't even know what the document does.
That makes total logical sense.
A power of attorney gives someone else the literal power to sell their house or empty their bank accounts. If there is confusion, she has to tell them to consult an attorney before proceeding.
You can't verify willingness if there is fundamental confusion.
Exactly.
All right, our final scenario for today's exploration. Scenario 5. Emily from South Carolina.
Okay, Emily.
Emily is fully bilingual, which is a fantastic and highly sought-after skill.
Very much so.
Because she speaks fluent Spanish, some of her local clients refer to her affectionately as a notario.
Oh, no.
Yeah. They come to her office, trusting her completely, and ask for her help filling out their complex immigration forms.
This is a scenario with massive, almost unimaginable stakes.
Why is that?
Well, we touched on the civil law notary concept earlier,
Yeah.
but here is where it becomes a crisis.
Right, because of the translation.
Because a notario publico in Latin America is a powerful, highly trained lawyer who can secure property and influence courts, using that term in the U.S., creates immense, dangerous confusion.
Wow.
It misleads incredibly vulnerable immigrant communities who don't understand the difference in legal systems. It's actually prosecuted aggressively as notario fraud.
So even if Emily is literally just trying to translate the English words on the form into Spanish, is that still dangerous?
It is incredibly dangerous. Emily must absolutely refuse to provide immigration advice or help fill out those specific forms.
Even just translating?
Yes. Translating the English instructions into Spanish might seem like a harmless linguistic favor, but interpreting what those instructions require legally is practicing law.
I guess I never thought about it like that.
These clients are trusting her with their right to stay in the country, their livelihood, and their family's unity. Furthermore, in states like South Carolina, and famously in California, there are incredibly strict punitive laws preventing exactly that.
Just how strict are we talking? What kind of laws?
In South Carolina, providing unauthorized immigration assistance can result in a harsh civil penalty of up to $1,000 per individual violation.
$1,000? Wow.
And in California, the Business and Professions Code strictly prohibits non-attorneys from literally translating notary public into Spanish in any of their advertising.
That is super specific.
It is. Moreover, immigration consultants who happen to hold a commission are completely legally barred from advertising those services at all. The fines can reach up to $1,000 a day.
A day?
Yes. Emily must politely but firmly correct her client's misunderstanding. She is a U.S. commissioned official, not a notario, and she absolutely cannot assist with immigration forms.
Wow. Those scenarios really, truly bring those foundational rules to life.
They do.
It's one thing to read a dry paragraph about the unauthorized practice of law in a manual, but it's an entirely different reality to sit across from a bilingual client who just desperately wants help with a visa form.
Or a friend who just wants you to fill in an address line.
Exactly.
And that actually brings us to a really crucial, final, provocative thought I want to leave everyone with today.
Oh, what is it?
We live in an incredibly fast-paced, high-demand world. Everyone expects instant customer service. They expect quick fixes, seamless digital transactions, and for professionals to just bend the rules and, make it work.
Right. The attitude is always, just stamp the paper and let's go.
Exactly. But in that kind of high-pressure environment, the simple, disciplined act of looking a client in the eye and saying no to a prohibited act, whether it's backdating a loan, giving legal advice on an estate, or notarizing a document for your own spouse that no is actually the ultimate safeguard.
It's the bouncer standing firm and turning away the fake ID, even when the person is screaming at them.
Yes, precisely. That refusal is the invisible glue that holds our entire system of commercial and legal trust together.
That is so true.
When you refuse an improper illegal request, you aren't providing bad customer service. Saying no isn't a failure of your job. It is the very essence of your job.
Wow.
It protects the signer from fraud, it protects the general public from exploitation, and it protects the absolute integrity of the document itself in a court of law.
What an incredibly powerful, perspective-shifting way to look at it. Saying no is the actual service we provide to society.
Exactly.
I love that. Well, that officially wraps up our foundational Friday exploration of prohibited acts. We actively want to hear from you. Email your questions to Derrick at derrickspruill.com. We will try to answer as soon as possible at the end of our shows.
We really do read every single email, and your tricky on-the-ground questions might just end up on our next Good Question, What Would You Do segment.
Absolutely. So keep them coming. Now, for our show credits, executive producer Derrick Spruill, lead writer Marylyn Trotter, graphics Eddie Montes Travis, music Thomas Bynum, produced by Magnificent Workz Business Solutions.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us today and for your continued dedication to doing this incredibly vital job the right way every single time.
Don't just be listeners of the knowledge, be doers of the knowledge. This is notary knowledge. Until next time.
Are you truly protected as a notary public? Navigate the complex legal framework with confidence using Notary Law and Liability by Derrick Spruill. This essential guide provides a deep dive into state regulations, ensuring you stay compliant across jurisdictions. Learn how to properly use errors and omissions insurance and master the critical boundaries to strictly avoid the unauthorized practice of law. Protect yourself, your commission, and your business. Get your copy of Notary Law and Liability by Derrick Spruill on Amazon.